All right. Wow, we just jumped from 20-something to 30-something. That's really great. All right, well, thank you. We are now officially into Inner Victory. So hopefully you've all had a chance to get the textbook. And today, for this week, you'll have read lessons 1 and 2. And as we go through Inner Victory, as this introduction, Brother Christensen teaches us that one of the great values of doing a personal creed document, understanding your values, goals, beliefs, those kinds of things, is the capacity, the ability to better manage life's transitions. So what I'd like to ask you now, you can type it in chat or you can unmute your mic and talk about it. We'll talk together. What are some of the transitions that you are going through right now? What are transitions that you are dealing with? Anybody?
So I actually graduate in April.
Okay.
So I guess that's the biggest transition right now is student living and that type of stuff to full-time job and stuff.
Okay, so thank you. So graduating and full-time job. Okay. And Adam's saying going from the school to the real world. Okay, that's a couple. Those are two similar ones. What are other ones? Anybody newly married? Anybody just home off a mission? Anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, I think that like just going from not going to school for like the summer and then just getting back into the habit of like school and the homework and getting back into a routine in itself is just a transition that we all have to get used to again.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Janae. So a couple others on the chat, changing from mission to home and then school within 3 weeks. That's a quick turnaround. So Drake, having a baby next month. Is that baby number 1?
Yep, baby number 1.
Boy or girl?
Baby girl.
Oh, excellent. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're going to now move to a second question. The second question is, what are some of the emotions, feelings that you have or are having when you go through transitions? What does it feel like? What is happening internally with you? Okay, anxiety, stressful, keep them coming.
Maybe fear, I will say.
Yeah, absolutely, fear.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we have one that is 2, like juxtaposed feelings from Adam, excitement and anxiety. Okay, excellent. Okay, any others? Hopeful. Thank you, Cammie, for that. Okay. Well, for me, I'm a little bit older, maybe with some of you, than most of you probably. But for me, it's interesting that the first few days in the MTC felt a whole lot like my first month in the Philippines as a missionary, which felt a whole lot like my first month home from my mission and my first month of being married and my first month or days as a new dad and in a new job. And it's that movement from one thing to another that just causes some stress. It causes, maybe a little quiet desperation, right? Well, the question that we'll explore today is the value of having this creed document that we're going to be working on as we go through. Now, this slide is just a reading list slide. Of course, you're going to spend time in Inner Victory. It's not a big book. You could read it tonight, all the way through if you want to in a couple of hours. But you're going to spend time in Inner Victory. But there are a lot of really, really great books out there that I periodically am going to insert stuff from. And it's not books that I'm going to ask you to go buy or read. Just know that I've spent a lot of time on this topic, professional, personal development. And for example, there's one book there called The 4 Disciplines of Execution by Chris McChesney. We're going to spend time on that. I'm just going to teach you some from it about goal setting. I'm gonna share a quote with you from The Greatest Salesman today, and how will you measure your life. And next week, 2 weeks from now, we're gonna talk a little bit about psycho-cybernetics. Nothing in here is earth-shattering, but just beware that you're going to hear from other resources that support, and mostly it'll happen during this meeting, right? So, starting off with Og Mandino, okay? This is why your personal creed document, this exercise we're going to be doing this semester, is powerful, in my opinion. Here it is. Values, having values, and living by good routine equals good habits, great habits, right? And great habits consistently lived equals success. Og Mandino, in The Greatest Salesman in the World, said, in truth, the only difference between those who have failed and those who have succeeded lie in the difference of their habits. Good habits are the key to all success. Bad habits are the unlocked door of failure. Thus, the first law I will obey, which precedeth all others, is I will form good habits and I'll become their slaves. So this transitions to what we're going to talk about in Inner Victory. Now, Inner Victory, in almost every chapter, we're going to learn about a different law. And we're going to learn about arts. Only in this chapter are you going to hear about clues. Okay, so let's talk about each of these. Laws are eternal principles. We can't change them. So we have the law of gravity, right? If I get on a tall place and I jump off of it, I am going to fall. We have the law in the church, the word of wisdom, the law of chastity. We're going to talk about the law of the clock. We're going to talk about today the law of the harvest. We can't change laws. They're eternal. We also can't change the benefits or blessings or fruits that come from living those laws. If I learn to master the art, the law of the clock, I'm going to have the great benefit of being able to use my time wisely, which translates to better grades, more productivity. If I learn and live the law of the harvest, I'm going to be more productive, okay? Well, here's the interesting thing. We can't change laws, and we can't change the clues. The only thing we can do is how we live within the law. So here is example number 1 from today, from Inner Victory. We have one law, the law of the harvest. What we sow, we will reap. We reap what we sow. And the example from the textbook is, you can't speed grow things on the farm. You can't plant potatoes in the end of August and harvest them in October, right? Around here in Idaho, the next 2 weeks is potato harvest. Well, that started in the spring, and there are steps that go through it. You can't also speed grow things at school. You can't cram things, right? You can't, if you do your homework and do your studies, you'll have a better result. You also are always sowing. Some people might say, I'm just going to take some time off. I'm just going to leave things as they are. Well, that's going to also result in something. So we're always sowing. So the art for this week is the art of personal inspection, which is as simple as doing this. What is growing in your garden of life, right? Are you happy? Are you sad? Do you feel productive? Are you getting good grades? How are your personal relationships? How's your testimony? How's your health, right? And so we're going to spend some time. We said last week, the unexamined life is not worth living. Well, we're going to talk this for the next little while about how do we make our garden of life the most beautiful, the most productive that it can be. So your personal creed document is your blueprint to help you manage these life's transitions, whether it's coming home off a mission, going on a mission, getting married, having a baby, getting a job, right? Some transitions are hard. Our family's dealing with a really kind of hard challenge right now with some things we're dealing with. Could be health challenges. It could be challenges with your kids, those kinds of things. So any comments before we talk a little bit about why you're watching the Fish Philosophy video? Any comments, questions, thoughts? Is any of this making sense? All right. Well, Your homework this week, this is a light week. You have to do your threaded discussion.
Had a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so talking about the routine and stuff, it just drew my mind back to when I was serving a mission. I had 2 years of my life, dedicated to Christ, to win souls unto Him, and all I could find myself doing was studying the scriptures and waking up on time and everything. And when I returned back, it has become a habit. I sleep. No matter the time I sleep, I wake up around 4:30, 5 a.m. I'm awake, just trying to do my personal study, getting ready to go to class or to go to work. So everything that you do consistently becomes a part of you. It's more of like self-discipline, and no one can take that away from you. So that's the comment that I had.
Yeah, thank you. And that's perfect, right?
Yeah.
Here's the challenge, right? I go in spurts, right? Elijah, I go in spurts.
Yeah.
My mission was great because 2 years, I went to bed at the same time, I got up at the same time, I studied at the same time, I brushed my teeth at the same time. We worked these hours, we ate these hours, and it was really awesome. I'm pretty committed to like being a regular exercising regularly. Well, it only takes like 2 days of something coming up that all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm out of routine. And then I got to force myself to get back into the routine, right?
Sure.
So now we're going to talk about this today briefly, but at the end of your creed document, you're going to write your mission statement. All of the things we're doing from now until then are building up to that mission statement. So we're inviting you to watch the fish philosophy video, and then that's what you're going to be part of your threaded discussion. Again, today's Wednesday, so you should do your first post on your threaded discussion by today, and then between now and Friday, comment on 2 other people's posts. It doesn't have to be long, and there might end up being, you might post more than that. You might end up having a dialogue back and forth with someone in the class, right? But the fish philosophy, if you've ever been to the Pike's Place Fish Market in Seattle, they live by these 4 visions. Number 1, play, have fun at work, right? Now, it's different in different offices, but somehow make work fun. Second, make someone's day. When you talk to someone, make their day, right? And actually, that's made more possible if you are there. You be there, be present, right? We're so easily distracted, right? So right now, it's just, if I'm with someone at the fish market, it's just us 2. I'm with you. I'm not doing anything else. It's just you and I. And then choose your attitude. So can someone tell me, this is a question, so watch the video, it's fun. It's getting kind of old. It's been around a while. Share with me, does anybody know what the mission of the church is? What is the mission of the church?
I know they've got like the 4-fold mission. Is that what you're talking about?
It's been called the 4-fold mission. You remember what the 4 folds are?
I don't even remember what the 4 are. I just know it's how it's broken up.
Yeah. It started with President Kimball with 3. Then they modified it, and then President Monson added a 4th. Proclaim the gospel, perfect the saints, redeem the dead, and help the poor and the needy. Okay? Right? So that's part of it. But in the new church handbook, they've actually just, this is from Clayton Christensen. Okay? So I'm 1 slide ahead of myself. Here's his mission statement. A man dedicated to improving the lives of others, a kind, honest, forgiving, selfless husband, father, and friend. A man who doesn't just believe in God, but who believes God. Clayton Christensen, okay? Where's my mouse? All right, here's the churches, okay? This has been simplified in the most recent handbook. The mission of the church is this simple. The church invites all to come unto Christ and be perfected in Him. That's the mission of the church. That part has always been there. So the older version, it said, we invite the whole world to come unto Christ and be perfected in Him by proclaiming the gospel, redeeming the sins, perfecting the saints, and taking care of the poor and the needy. Now it's this simple. The church invites all to come unto Christ and be perfected in him, and this invitation to come unto Christ pertains to all who have lived temple work or who will ever live. People on earth today, perfecting the saints, members and non-members alike on earth. Okay, I just think that's so awesome. What's God's mission? To bring to pass the immortality and eternal life of man. Church's mission, invite all to come unto Christ and be perfected in him, whether you've ever lived or will live on the earth. So we will be striving for that. So we're going to end with just one quick thought before we send you on your way. Any comments? Okay. I think one of the things that a lesson I was taught early on, if you want to get to success, whether it's in your married life, in your school life, in your personal life, in your professional life, it all comes down to motivation. And what motivates us to do things? There are three kinds of motivation. And I live with every one of these every day. Some of the things I do because I have to, right? This report, this conversation with someone that I don't really want to have. Sometimes we are motivated by things because we ought to do them. And when we cross the bridge all the way, we do things because we want to. We will be most successful in life if we can get to the things that we want to do, that we're passionate about. The underlying motivation for have to is fear, right? We do things because we're afraid of the consequence. Sometimes we parent this way, right? We parent and say, if you don't do this, this will be the consequence. Sometimes we do things because we feel guilty, right? Sometimes the things I do in the church are even this way, right? In my ministering appointment, do I minister out of fear? No, I'm not. No one's going to harm me or take something away if I don't do my ministering appointment, or if I don't go to the temple this week or this month. Sometimes I do get my ministering done or go to the temple because I just want to feel guilty about not going anymore, right? Just don't want to feel guilty anymore. But when I do things because I love it, want to is love. I love my job. I'm passionate about my career. I'm passionate about this cause. Then we're going to be successful. And let me ask this question, right? This is a good question. I'd love your input on chat or in person. Let's say that I'm stuck in the middle with guilt and duty. How do I get that to love?
I have a thought on that. I think part of that, and sorry if there's background noise, I should go another. My wife's doing dishes. I don't know if you can hear that. I think that there's two ways to do that. Ought to want to, as far as like if you've read the 7 Habits book, as she's just analyzing like what you genuinely care about, kind of like what you just said, figuring out what, like, makes you tick, and then spending your time there. That's a really easy way to go to love to. And the only way I've been able to successfully go from ought to want to, if it's something that I'm not necessarily super passionate about, is just asking for help from God. Be like, all right, Heavenly Father, I hate that I do this out of duty. I want to do this out of love. Please help me have a change of heart, soften my heart, or whatever it is, so that I can feel that way.
Excellent. Okay, good. By the way, I think that's great, Harrison. Thank you. By the way, doing things out of guilt and duty isn't necessarily bad, right? The things we get to love, want to, we'll end with the Steve Jobs quote, right? Is when we'll do our best work, right? Now, as you guys think about your professional future, you ought to lean and head towards stuff that you love to do. I talk in my job, I'm the career center manager, director on campus, and I talk to people all the time that have settled with a job. They did accounting because accounting pays decently, right? And there's lots of places you can go with it, but maybe they don't love it, right? Well, I'm going to have a 40-year career in higher education by the time I retire. I don't want to spend 40 years doing something that's just okay, right? I just was in Oklahoma visiting my daughter, and we went to a friend, and he graduated from BYU, and he had a job as a banker for Wells Fargo. And he's now an endodontist, a dentist that does root canal, okay? And I asked him, why did you change? And he says, you know, I didn't want to work for other people. I wanted to work for myself. And I like working with people. And I like working with my hands. He's really successful because he loves his job, right? So this is what Steve Jobs said. He said, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you will know when you find it. So as you guys are looking at what you're going to do for 40 years in a career, I would steer toward the want to side of the bridge. Do things that you love to do. You'll do better. You'll like it better. You'll do better work. You'll do great work, which then translates typically into better work, better promotions, better outcome. Now, it may be, I love being a teacher, for example, which means I might be in public education and I'm not going to be a millionaire, but I'll be happy. Or you could be somebody that says, you know, I worry about people who run the risk of picking a career path because it makes more money and then being 4 years. That's why some people, they just can't wait to get to a 4-day work week because they made enough money, or a 3-day work week because they don't like their time at work. So anyway, that is it for today. Any questions that you guys have? This week's light, just the fish video, threaded discussion, and your class meeting report and lesson evaluation. Next week, we're going to do chapter 3 in the book, and it's all about time management. The week after that, chapter 4, lesson 4, we start your personal creed document. Okay, questions, comments, thoughts?
My question is not really related to what we thought about today, but I added this class late, and I just want to know. I sent an email, but
Okay.
I just want to know if there's any way I could make up for the past works.
Yeah, just go back and read the announcements, the old announcements. There'll be one recording from last week. You'll need to watch that recording. But then just go do the work, right?
Okay.
And since you added late, I'm not going to count it as late, right? And there was 4 assignments last week, 4 or 5. Pretty simple, just 2 this week, so it should be easy to get caught up.
Okay. All right. I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Again, I'll stay on to answer any questions that you might have. Okay, we do have this question that's being talked about on the chat. Where do I find the fish video? It's in the modules online. Module number 2, Malachi, thank you for pointing that out. And then for week 1, if you want to catch up, just click through the assignments for week 1. But make sure you do look at the announcements. So for all of you that have been on this meeting, you just have to put attended in the top box of the class meeting report. You don't have to answer the question. You still do 2 and 3. Thank you, Katie, for that question. Okay, any other questions? All right, I will stay on. I'm going to stop the recording for the sake of all you folks that have to watch it. And we'll get back together next week. Thank you.